everybody, my name is Emily. A big welcome if you are new, and I hope you are all having a great day. Today I am going to be doing a travel Q&A, and I am so excited for this because travel is my favorite topic and you guys have asked some amazing questions, so we are going to dive right into it. I make videos here on YouTube about travel and adventure as well as sharing my life here in New Zealand, so make sure you hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. These questions are in no particular order. I asked them on my Instagram, so if you aren't following me over there, please do. I would love that. Ellie asks, have you been to a place where you were first excited to go to and then once you were there, you were disappointed? I just thought this was the coolest question and it threw me off guard. I had to have a little think about it, and upon reflection, I can say no, I don't think I've ever been disappointed by a place, but I think the circumstances you're in when you visit a place can really affect how you view that place. So for example, if you're sick or you're tired or you're missing home, when you're traveling, it can be really hard to enjoy a place if you are just not in it, if you're not feeling it. Whereas you might go to another place you weren't expecting to be that great, and if you're feeling super healthy, you're loving traveling, in a really good mental state, then you'll probably love that place. So I think how you feel about somewhere can be very circumstantial, but I do recall my first trip to Spain not quite meeting my expectations. My first stop was Sevilla and I loved it. It's still probably my favorite place in Spain, along with Granada in Andalusia. But after I was in Sevilla, I spent 2 weeks living with a family in Valladolid in central Spain. I was tutoring their kids English, and oof, it was a rough experience. I may have talked about it on my channel before, but this family were really strict. I had no freedom. I wasn't even allowed to go for a walk outside. I was feeling really sick and it was midway through a big 6-month trip, so I was just feeling run down. So the fact that the family weren't all that great was just the cherry on top. So I ended up being quite disappointed by that time in Spain, but as I said, I think a lot of that just had to do with the circumstances that I was in. Best place you've been to and why? Okay, you guys know this is an unfair question because I love everywhere I've been to for very different reasons, but I think some places are just more formative than others and you feel like a soul connection to that place. So I'll share 3 off the top of my head. Firstly is actually Uluru, or some of you may know it as Ayers Rock in Australia. This is a sacred Aboriginal Indigenous site and it just blew me away. It is not just a rock. There is a spiritual atmosphere about that place, and it just teaches you so much about the Indigenous and who they are, and really the grace that they have offered to us white European Australians now that we live there when it is their land. So that was a very rich and informative experience, but I also loved Egypt for the history, and just it blows your mind how old everything is there, puts it all into perspective, and it's just such a different culture than what I'm used to, and so many different sceneries as well that I wasn't expecting. I also really loved Yosemite National Park in America. This place always comes up when people ask me about my favorite places, because if you can see my channel, you know I love the outdoors. I love hiking and adventuring. I'm not like a crazy person. I'm not hanging off cliffs or anything like that, but man, Yosemite was just insane. It doesn't feel real when you're there, and I just had a great time when I was there with my siblings. It just taught me about the power and the beauty of nature. What did you discover about yourself through traveling? Honestly, I think it was just my love for people and for other cultures and communicating with people, and I love trying to bring out the best in people. So you meet a bunch of crazy characters when you're traveling, and just the fact that I can sit down and have a conversation with them, and also just the fact that I can do anything if I really want to. If I really want something, I can go for it and I can get it, but you just have to put your mind to it. They're just some of the many things I learned about myself. When did you first start traveling by yourself? I love this question because you might not have guessed it, but I actually first started traveling at the age of 7 on my own. Maybe I'm making it sound cooler than it is, but I did go on an airplane by myself when I was 7 years old. I flew from my home city of Launceston in Tasmania to Melbourne, and family friends were waiting on the other side of the gate when I got to Melbourne, but it was a very cool experience. I was an unaccompanied minor, and mum said that when I left from Launceston, I didn't even say goodbye to her in the airport. I was just straight on that plane. Like, I knew what was right in front of me. So I think I caught the bug from that very minute. Always knew I wanted to travel alone. So the very first trip I did officially was my 6-month round the world trip. I went alone. However, I did meet up with some family along the way and did do some different group tours as well. But that was my first big doing it alone. And I would recommend solo travel to everybody, even if it's just like a 2-day staycation or a year-long round the world trip. I think it teaches you so much about yourself and the world, and just how to deal with situations as they arise, communicate with people, and make the best of it as well. Let's face it, if you're sitting around waiting for the right person or people to come along to go with you, you could be waiting for a really long time. So I just say, go out there, have fun, try something on your own, go see new places, and I promise you, you will meet so many people along the way that you probably never would have if you were traveling with other people as well. I just cannot recommend it enough, as you can probably tell. Tips on not wasting too much money and not being scammed. I think as far as wasting too much money is just having a very rough budget going into it. You're always going to spend more than what you expect to, but at least know how much you'll be spending roughly on accommodation and food, any major activities that you want to do, flights, those, main categories. Kind of roughly tally that up before you go traveling to make sure you know roughly what you can expect. I think another big tip with not wasting money is to be careful with food, because food can get so expensive. So usually my rule is buy 1 meal a day and then make my own meals, even if that's like having a little snack or picnic, or if I'm staying at a hostel for a little while, cooking a meal that can last me a couple days, like a big curry or something. And just be careful about what meals you are indulging in, because food can add up. Unless you're in Southeast Asia, in which case just buy whatever food you want, because street food is amazing and super cheap. So it does depend where you are, but I think food can definitely be the clincher. To not get scammed, well, kind of just need to follow common sense like you would at home, but also do a quick Google before you reach a place so you know what to look out for. Maybe there's, a specific thing that people do there to scam you, and just watch out for that. For example, in Europe, a lot of people or beggars will come up to you at a cafe and your wallet might be there, and they'll distract you and talk to you, and then they'll slip away the wallet. So just knowing how they're going to target you in that place and how you can avoid that. Tips on being safe, again, follow the common sense that you would at home. If you wouldn't go walking alone in the city at 3 a.m. at home, then you shouldn't do it overseas. So I don't think it has to be more complicated than what people think, but also please trust your gut instinct. That is what you can rely on. If something feels wrong, it is wrong, and you need to get out of there. As a female though, I definitely have to take more precautions. So I am not alone at night ever. I will say that I am waiting for someone, or I'm with someone if I am traveling alone, so people don't know that I'm alone. Just little things like that. Use common sense, trust your gut, do what you would at home. What more can you do? How to avoid anxiety. I don't want people to think I'm a tourist or don't know what I'm doing. Anxiety is a tricky one, because sometimes you can't avoid that. Sometimes it does just show its ugly head and you feel a little bit scared or frightened for whatever reason. Again, trust your gut, do what you can to keep yourself safe, and also just take some really deep breaths, drink lots of water, call someone that you love and trust to talk it through with them. And also, if you are alone in a city or you feel unsafe, walk as if you know exactly where you are going. Even if you don't know where you are going, use your body language to show that you are on a mission. You are going to meet someone. Make it look like you are a local. And just by doing that, people will be put off by you and won't try and do something dodgy because it looks like you know your way around. So I think some of that fake it till you make it, build up your confidence comes into this type of scenario. But yeah, always make sure someone knows where you are, make yourself look like a local, and you'll be okay. My friend Nick asks, best place to get robbed, and how do you find an Italian police station at night when you don't speak Italian? Now, these two questions are interlinked. I have a little wee bit of a story time. Trust me, it's a good one. Me and Nick were training to be tour guides together in Rome in 2019, and we got robbed. So I can confirm that Rome is the best place to get robbed, probably alongside Barcelona and Paris and New York City and Bangkok. These are all places where theft is common, and we were victims in Rome. They came into our campsite cabins and stole our laptops and our cameras. They didn't take our passports, even though they were right next to them. So they obviously just wanted some quick cash, whoever they were. So we found ourselves at 2 a.m. having to go back into the middle of Rome to the police station and get a form so we could get insurance and get our money back with what we had been stolen. But we were just delirious. It was a mess. The Roman police obviously were just like, oh, tourists, you know, and we didn't speak Italian, so we kind of just had to communicate the best we could with their broken English and just be like, guys, come on, they stole our stuff, please help us. I will insert in a video of us from this night right now because it explains everything.
Well.
Welcome to Rome.
Where
city.
your things get stolen.
No, you started on the wrong note. First, we have to start out with Romulus and Remus.
Oh,
That's where this all began.
This is how Rome began. This is how our story begins.
In Rome, of course. Right here in front of Alla Dolcia Policia.
Right there.
Right there. Where we met Sergeant Constable.
She was a sweetheart.
Do you speak Italian? I called her mum. She was mum.
All I know is grazia, ciao.
Suveti Graci Anna. Okay, so Anna. So we just met Anna.
Yes.
Where this lighting is fantastic, by the way. Look how good we look. So tonight, collectively, we've had how much worth of gear? Lots.
Oh, maybe seven grand.
7 grand's worth of stuff stolen.
No big.
All of our bus about spiels, of course they went. Couple of personal documents.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Hard drive
Photos,
filled. If you
hard
see
drives,
it, lots of details there just for you.
Cameras,
You need
laptops.
this finger to get into mine, so come and find me if you want to see some cool picky Ds on there. Yeah, so great experience
But
of
you
Rome
know
so
what?
far.
You know what?
It happens.
Shit happens. And
Fuck, what can we do?
we've just
We had our
taken
bits
it
of paper.
bit by bit, and hopefully insurance is nice, and just got to get on with the job.
Who doesn't love a good story about when in Rome?
When in Rome!
As you can tell, we were just laughing our way through the pain of the whole situation. We were fine, we got our money back, we bought new technology, it was fine. And I think that's something that you need to remember is that no, of course you don't want to get robbed, but it's not the end of the world if that type of thing does happen. Just go to the local police. Eventually they'll help you out, even if it's a little bit dysfunctional like it is in Italy, you'll be okay. Me and Nick got through it, we have lived to tell the tale, and honestly, it's one of my most funniest travel memories. What surprised you the most while traveling? I think there's a few things that come to mind. First of all, that traveling is easier than you might expect it to be, especially in today's day and age where we have access to technology and we can use this to basically figure out anything. So I think that's a big thing that surprised me is that, even as an 18-year-old or now I'm 22, traveling solo, it's fine, like you can figure it out as you go. But I think also what surprised me about traveling is that it teaches you about how good life is and can be when you're not traveling as well. We all know that traveling is going to be fun and a good time. Like, that's not something that surprised me. I knew it was going to be one of the best experiences and will be going forward in my life. I love to travel, as you can tell, but it also taught me about how important it is to build a life where you are as well, because to make a real impact you need to form meaningful connections with other people. So travel surprised me in the sense that I love it, but I wouldn't do it forever, and I won't do it forever, because I think here and now and where you are, where your family is, where you feel called to set up a life is actually more important at the end of the day. Where I want to go next is definitely Israel and the Middle East, assuming that it is safe to do so. It's the one country I would love to see before I die. If I only could go to one other place, it would be Israel, simply because it is where Jesus lived. It is where the story of the Bible began in that whole area of the world, and Jerusalem has so much historical and religious significance. It would be such a fascinating place to visit for those reasons, but also for the culture and for the food and for the landscapes. So I would love to go to Israel next. However, I don't think it's the most realistic location to go to next. I suspect my next international destination, aside from Australia and New Zealand, will probably be one of the Pacific Islands. So there has been a travel bubble this year between New Zealand and Rarotonga, the Cook Islands. So I would love to go spend a week at the beach and just appreciate that culture in that place and relax and drink pina coladas and go snorkeling. However, I also see myself making a move to Canada once university is finished here in New Zealand. That's something I've always wanted to do. My older brother lives and is a resident in Canada, so I would love to go live over there near him, and I just think it's an awesome country. I was lucky enough to visit a few years ago and got to go skiing and see the Rockies, and I would love to go there and kind of build up my career while just appreciating the country as well. If you had to spend 1 month in a country exploring, which country would you pick? So after Israel, the next place I really want to see that's on my list is Greece. I did have a trip booked there for 2020, but we all know what happened there. So I would happily spend a month in Greece. There are so many islands, but obviously not only the islands. What about Athens, and also going up towards Mount Olympus and Thessaloniki and all the inland areas? I just feel like there's so much to see and appreciate in Greece. So I would happily spend a month there. Now, I constantly get asked questions about my experience tour guiding. A lot of you probably found me through my day in the life of a tour guide video. That was a lot of fun to make, by the way. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. But I have so many questions from you about how do I become a tour guide? How much does it pay? Do you think there are opportunities for it? So one of you sent me those questions on Instagram, and I wanted to address those because I know many of you are curious about it. First of all, you don't really need an official qualification to be a tour guide. I'm sure having some type of tourism or business diploma or degree would be helpful, but ultimately, when you're hiring a tour guide, you're not looking for what they've studied, you're looking for their people skills and their personality and how they would be able to communicate to a group of people. That is so much more important than what you have studied. Not all companies will be like that, but the majority will be. As far as salary goes, do not expect to get paid a lot as a tour guide with entry-level jobs. However, if you start working for upper echelon companies, they do pay quite a lot, but mostly tour guides make their money through commission, so selling other tours, or through tipping as well. Right now, there's probably not heaps of tour guiding opportunities around the world, maybe except for in Europe that's starting to open back up, but as the world does open back up and international travel resumes, which it will look different, but it will resume, there will be more guiding opportunities. Tourism is a huge industry and guiding is a massive part of that. So don't you worry if you are wanting to get into it at some point. Maybe it won't happen in the next 6 months, but I would start really keeping an eye out for those job openings, especially within the next year or two. I cannot recommend that job enough. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'll probably talk about it until the day that I die because I loved it so much, and I would love to guide again. However, if that doesn't happen, I'm just grateful for that experience, and hopefully you might be able to have it as well. Another question I got asked through my DMs is, do you prefer group or solo travel? I love both of them for different reasons. Group travel is great, especially if you don't really know where to start in a destination and you want to make friends. Some of my greatest travel friends I met doing group tours in various places, or you just want to take the hassle out of it and kind of have a guide who organizes things, definitely is more relaxing probably than solo travel, because with solo travel, you're constantly having to think about your next move. And although there is more flexibility, you definitely need to organize more. However, the other bonus with that is that you can do whatever you want to do with solo travel. You only have your agenda to worry about and what you want to do. And there's a lot of freedom and joy that comes with that in comparison to more of like a stricter group tour. However, if you're talking about group as far as traveling in a family group or with some friends, that's a whole nother ball game. I actually think traveling with family would be my favorite way to travel, because these are people that you'll know your whole life and you're making these incredible memories with them that you will never forget. And you know each other's bad moods already, so you can put up with it and it's okay. There's open communication. Going forward though, hopefully I'll have a partner to travel with. That's really important, you know, that my future partner wants to see the world or is open to that and has an adventurous spirit. But yeah, to answer your question, group or solo travel, it depends what you're looking for. I would say do a little bit of both if you're planning a bit of a longer trip. What is the biggest thing traveling has taught you? Obviously, this is a huge question, and I may have said this before on my channel, but I think at the end of the day, humans all want the same thing. They all want to love and be loved. We all want that, no matter what language we speak, what skin color we have, where we come from, how much money we have. I think we all just want to love and be loved, because that is how God has made us. You know, my faith is so important to me. And if anything, traveling confirmed my faith, because I can see that we must have all been made by the same thing, who has instilled within us those values, and it's manifested differently. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We all die, we all shit, we all just want to be loved. That's all there is to it. There we go, friends. They are all the questions I'm going to answer today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I personally loved it, of course, talking about my favorite topic. We should definitely do this again sometime. Make sure you subscribe and hit like before you click off, and I will see you next time here on my channel. Bye.